Okay, here we go. My first attempt at trying to video a train that I've worked on. This is an old Marx tin plate, which I got with some Marx tin plate cars that I bought with those tab and slot couplers. When I got it, the cars were in semi-decent shape, but this was completely red rust. There was no place on it that wasn't rust. So I took the motor out of it, and as per a gentleman whose videos I constantly watch, and that's Ben from Ben's Trains, I dipped it in apple cider vinegar. Well, 24 hours later, it was completely clean. It was as shiny as this hobby knife. Really. But the boiler front was gone. And I didn't know why. So I actually emailed Ben, and he told me that the boiler front is zinc and the apple cider vinegar would eat right through it. Okay, my screw up. I did not know this stuff. But I thought, how can I put this back together? Well, I had this engine. It is a 1666. It had a motor in it, but I put the motor into a 666, which the gears weren't running good. It would go roll a few turns and stop. And I'm guessing the gears are just worn down on it. But the reason I took the motor out of this is the cow catcher had been broken off before I got it. So I thought, why don't I take the boiler front and try to put the boiler front into this engine. Well, when I did, try to show you what I've gone through here. Well, what I've learned, I should say. The 1666 boiler front is too small for this. It slides right down inside the boiler shell. It's too small. And my fingers are big. It's tough to show you that. I'm trying. But you see, it falls right in. So I looked around with what I had. And what I had was some 490 bodies that I've taken the double reduction motors out of for other engines. And these 490 bodies were not in bad shape. Front of them's in good shape. You know, they're not in bad shape. So this one I just picked one, and this one I decided to cut the boiler front off of. I mean, the rest of the body still isn't in bad shape, but now I've cut the boiler front off. And when I did that, I found out the boiler front was big enough to fit on here, and I left some of the plastic boiler behind the front because the metal that wraps around here is nice and snug on this boiler. But I ran into a couple problems trying to put it on. Naturally, it wasn't meant for it. One was right here on both sides. You see there's a little bit of black paint gone on that side and a little bit on this side, right at that little point of metal. That little point of metal was hitting the back of these stairs and wouldn't let me push this boiler front all the way onto the locomotive. So what I did was I took that hobby knife that I have here, a hobby saw, and I cut into both stairs right next to the boiler front. I'm hoping you can see with this comforter underneath everything the light color through it where I cut. And now that lets these 2 points go in behind the stairwell so that this goes flush up on the engine. The other thing I ran into, which was a very easy fix, there was a tab right here, which I'm assuming was into the zinc boiler front. And what I did was I filed it off with a file till I got it down to virtually nothing to where it fits good. Now this pushes right on this engine, but I can't do it with one hand. I really wish I could. So I'm going to set my phone here and try to do it in front of the camera. With me on this side, I can't tell if I'm in front of the camera. But those two tabs push right into the stairwell, and it pushes in there. I don't know if I have it where you can see it. Try to get back up here in the light. And they push right into the stairwell, and it's snug enough that without gluing this on yet, it stays on. I can shake it and it doesn't fall off. But I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. I got the 490 pretty level up there with a smokestack. Now there's missing body because of the different boiler fronts. And that's right here where my finger is. If you look, you can see right through from one side to the other. And I thought, well, maybe I'll take a piece of plastic or a piece of metal, cut down with tin snips or scissors or whatever, and maybe, can I see what I got here? Maybe glue it in down in here on that distance from here to here, and just flat piece to hide the hole. It's not original, but the only other thing I have to do once I glue the front on is put the motor back in, and there is a railing that goes from this hole to this hole. Put the railing on. I think I'm just going to paint the railing black. But I don't think it's going to look bad. And I don't think I did too bad for fixing something that I screwed up. I don't think it's going to look bad at all. But the motor runs pretty good. It's a single reduction motor, and it run pretty good. That's why I figured I didn't want to toss the engine. But since I've taken the motors out of these two, I figured when the 1666 front didn't fit, I'd try this one, and it seemed, I think it worked out pretty decent. Now it's not up all the way. I see a gap. It's got to slide up some. Yeah, there's a gap here because it's not all the way up to the boiler of the engine, but it will be because I've already had it up there. There, did it just pop up? Yeah, she's up. Looking pretty decent. Get a little black paint on where I've rubbed the paint off, and I don't think I'll ever even notice a difference. But I hope you folks like. This is the first time I've ever done a video on my trains. Usually I'm outside filming trains. But I hope y'all like. Y'all take care. See ya.